Okay, I think we're on now.
All right, let's go.
What's up,
What
dude?
is up? What's up?
What's up to everybody out there in Kumulan? Kumusta? What's up? Hi, kumusta? Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello. Kumusta? Abraham Lechon. This guy's name is Abraham Lechon. Just a girl for you. Just a girl.
That's a good one. It's clever. I like it.
Thank you to the people that's here right now. Let's go ahead and share this. I'm going to copy this link.
Ooh, yeah. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. A little bit of administrative stuff.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yo. Alrighty then.
Sorry, guys, we're sharing the live right now.
And yeah, we're doing our little pre-game warm-ups. Yeah, I gotta warm up the vocal cords before I start talking. Me, 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 me.
Me.
Yeah, and you gotta loosen your face too. You gotta go. Ah, ooh.
Yes. Lion, lemon.
Ah, ooh.
Yes.
You know that I didn't know. I always thought that was like a joke thing. That
No, that's
because
legit, dude.
it is a real thing. Yeah, like I like actually warming up your face and stuff like that. Like when I took acting class in at San Jose State, like I took like an elective.
Yep.
Before we did like a scene, we would have to do that. That was one of the few things that we had to learn is to loosen up your face.
I completely agree
Ah.
with you on that. When I had did my stuff out there in the Philippines, they did the exact same exercise,
Mhm.
and they talk about the muscles in your face, how your face is your biggest commodity, so you should stretch it. You should be able to, so you would see all these people making faces or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
to loosen up your muscles to whatever
Yeah.
you're getting ready for
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
day. So
Yeah. But yeah, when I
it's
first saw that in like I don't remember, was it like Dog Jane Silent Bob or something? I don't remember.
yeah, yeah.
It was Ben Affleck and Matt Damon doing their thing. I was like, what is this? And yeah, I didn't realize it was a real thing.
Which is hilarious in that particular because it's a parody of a right. They're
Yeah,
parodying
yeah,
themselves in a way. So
right.
yeah,
Goodwill Hunting 2, hunting season.
hunting season. Yeah.
uh,
Let me go ahead and I'm still sharing this live, guys. Shout out to you guys out there if you happen to be watching us. What's good? Hello. How are you? You know what I mean? Uh, that's all. Like, hello. I'm sharing. I'm sharing right now. Nobody in
yeah.
my We're usually on all those other platforms, but for some reason, it's not letting me connect to those. So you can only
Oh,
watch.
I got the Twitch. Twitch should be working. Hello. Looks like Ron's frozen for a little bit. Anyways, yeah. Hey everybody, what's up? It's gonna be me and Ron today. I'm Ninja Iceberg. You can call me Waldo. Ron is frozen right now, I guess. I, I, unless it's me. Can't be me, right? It's not me. Hmm. I don't want to have to carry this on my own. I don't know what I'm doing. Why? 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 Oh, I'm panicking. Okay. All right. Looks like he cut out. I'm going to be going next, I assume. Uh, Waiting for my inevitable cancellation. Anxiety. See, it's a good thing I can't even see chat. I have no idea what's going on. Y'all could be talking shit and I wouldn't even care. Yes. Yes. Anyways, me
Are
just
we good?
talking nonsense. Huh? Yeah, I guess we're good. I was just talking
Okay.
nonsense. I was just telling chat that I can't read the chat, so I don't even care what they say. You could be talking shit and I wouldn't even know.
Sorry about that, guys. To
I
the
had to
to the one viewer out there,
I had to carry the show by
thank you guys.
myself. It was so scary.
It's like that SNL skit where the teleprompter runs out.
Yeah, and they didn't know what to say and they start murdering each other. It's like Lord of the Flies and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, those are last great days to me, where they would actually, like go there, right? They would
Yeah.
actually go there, like, oh shit, that's kind
True.
of weird, but
True. That was
it's
a
fun.
very weird
It,
sketch.
and as weird as whatever they came up with in the last 20 years, it's nothing like maybe the cusp of a little after 2000, right? 2001, 2002. And then,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, SNL is always like that, right? It's always bad. Like every single generation, every single time there's new cast members, new turnovers. Everyone's like, oh man, it used to be so good, but that's literally every year. Like
and they made it
everyone
their
talk
gimmick, I think, right?
what that they're always bad.
Yeah, like SNL's dead. Remember that was always the thing.
True.
SNL's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Hmm. But yeah, like even during the Will Ferrell era, the Adam Sandler era, right? People were like, those are terrible years, right? They're like, oh, we remember the Phil Hartman years; those were the best years. And then people during the Phil Hartman years, people were like, oh my god, the original cast was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Gilda Radner,
Chevy
Steve
Chase.
Martin,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, or Bill Murray, whatever. Not Steve Martin. Wait, was Steve Martin ever a cast member, or he was like a five-time host or something like that?
Yeah, I believe he
Anyways,
was a 5-time host.
yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah. But anyways, it's SNL's always bad, and we're always going to say it's bad. And then, in 20 years, the kid, the 40-year-olds the Zoomers are going to be like, oh, remember the Pete Davidson years? Those were the best years. And you'd be like, what?
And,
No,
and maybe
everyone.
that's why. Well, for me, I can't. I don't know. Like, I probably really stopped watching during these last maybe 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
So I'm one of those guys that couldn't tell you a Pete Davidson sketch, or I'd have to, like, oh, okay, I think I seen that. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for me, it's maybe the last good years were the whoever worked with Farrell. You know what I mean? Like,
For you, sure.
right,
But I
right, right.
mean, but I mean, a lot of people hated the Jimmy Fallon, Will Ferrell years. You know, a lot of people did
Correct.
not like the Tina Fey years.
Hmm.
A lot of people didn't like that. So I mean, I can't really say. I will say this: there are good stuff. There is good stuff on SNL. Like even right now, like the new group that does the digital shorts,
Mm.
the Please Do Not Destroy or whatever. Those guys are hilarious, man. Like they're super funny. Bowen Yang is really really good. Chloe Feynman's really good. Some of these newer people are very funny. They're very good. And I mean, I'll always enjoy the Michael Che, Colin Jost update just because they like to fuck with each other so much.
I
You
think
know,
that's I think maybe as I got older, that just completely became my favorite part of the show.
update.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the whole duo, where there's more than one anchor man
Hmm.
or whatever, I think
Yeah.
is really really such a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Norm Macdonald update was really, really good. Like his commentary was always like very biting and sarcastic, but not everyone's cup of tea. And then you have and then yeah, when you go to the duo updates, um, the duo updates always. I mean, there's always multiple dimensions that you can really like rest that segment on that and and then like these past few years with Jost and Che, just because Colin Jost is married to Scarlett Johansson, he's like the stereotypical white boy. He looks good and he looks like he's racist. And then Michael Che really capitalizes on that. I just really enjoy that.
Hmm.
It's kind of like it's kind of like a shitty Power Man Iron Fist duo.
I
It's
like
kind of
that.
what I kind of wish that's what Luke Cage and Iron Man was about. Heroes
That
for
should have,
Hire. It's kind of like
dude.
it's like a funny Heroes for Hire.
That should have been way funnier than what it was, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
there was some, and that's the thing. Maybe when they try to make it funny or he tried to be funny, it just came off as like, "What the hell is this?"
I think it's because they said it was more street level, right? It's going to be gritty. And because Daredevil set that mark, everything after that kind of followed that. And it works for some and doesn't work for others, right? Like it definitely works for Punisher. It's gritty, it's dark. Um, Jessica Jones is gritty. I mean, it's not necessarily dark, but it is gritty, right?
But Jessica Jones
Heroes,
did have great writing to where you could put in some jokes, and I mean, she was
right,
very entertaining in that show.
right. It's a very good, well-rounded show. I felt, uh, but yeah, Iron Fist and Luke Cage. I thought Luke Cage was good in the first half, and then it kind of fell down a little bit.
Mm.
Iron Fist was just not good all the way through, and it really should have been about. I really felt like maybe they should have thrown in. They really should have thrown in way more humor. Danny Rand is a fuck up, and he's a
Hmm.
funny dude. He's kind of like Hawkeye. Clint Barton's Hawkeye from the books. They're a little bit of fuck ups, uh, but they mean well. And then when you throw Luke Cage into the mix with Iron Fist, it's a lot of their stories are about wealth inequality kind of stuff.
This is the thing, though. I don't know if we'll ever get another show, but with those two or maybe together this time, right? If they were to try to give them a second chance or second life through different
Hmm.
writers or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the only reason why you would read a book like that is because of their dynamic, the fact
Right.
that they were heroes for hire, which means me and Ninja can go to their offices and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I have $40.
Hmm.
My friend has 60."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They were super powered A team. They were like the A team.
they're like, can you help us
mercenaries.
out, right?
Yeah,
Help us
yeah,
out.
hmm yeah,
And that's what they would go do. So like, I don't know, the fact that they don't touch on something like that,
hmm yeah,
you know, although they could because I mean, look at where She-Hulk's supposedly going to go. You know, the
hmm
fact that they made it a like, hey, no, let's make her, She-Hulk attorney at law,
yeah,
to where
yeah,
the old books would really very much play into her being a lawyer as well,
hmm
too, right? So
yeah. I think
super
I think
excited for
because
it.
these
What up,
are
TJ?
I think because these are the Disney Plus shows, that these are going to be a little bit more true to the source material, right? Like you can probably be a little bit more confident with that in terms of tone, in terms of storytelling, and things like that. Like even Ms. Marvel, even though the story doesn't exactly follow the book, like the tone is still there, the core essence of the character is still there. So uh, so I think Netflix did really well with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, but didn't do very well. That was also the old. Oh, oh no,
I don't know what that is.
spam. Uh,
Hi, Marjorie.
well,
How are you?
but that was also under the old regime, right? Where the MCU TV shows were under the Jeff Loeb era, where it was not as coherent all the way through, because it was kind of like a separate department, I guess you could say. It wasn't really under Kevin Feige at that time, so it was very like um, disconnected, I guess. So, but now everything's under Feige, and moving forward, it should be pretty good, recognizable at the very least.
It's I know I think we might have well, we always touch on it every week or whatever, but um everything's all good on the Marvel side. Even though people's complaints is, hey, there's too much stuff, right? That's a current
Yeah,
complaint right now. There's too much stuff.
there's too much stuff, or there's no coherent through line, like they did with the original, 10 years of MCU, right?
I've now and maybe I have done this for the last maybe 10 years or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna go nerd out and I'm gonna want to see what's next and all that stuff. But I think I've always been kind of chill of like, I'm not gonna be super hard on the product because I
Mm-hmm.
truly love the product. The product is really really good.
Yeah,
Yes, they could be popcorn flicks to some people or whatever, but this is a genre that has come. I mean, numbers don't lie. Look how many people love superheroes. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Or have learned to love superheroes because of these stories that they're able to tell.
Yeah.
So,
To the point where something like The Boys is popular now. Like the anti superhero stuff is popular. You
and
know?
my non-comic book friends telling me you should be watching. Oh, hey, you're into comics, aren't you? You should be watching this, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's
Here. You
crazy
you
how
should you should read the book. You're into
there's
comics.
there's words,
Yeah, you have to
there's
read.
words. You got
But
to
there's
read.
pictures. There are pictures. You might enjoy it.
You got to read. Not a big
Yeah.
fan of reading. What up, Rude? What up, Cinny? I don't know if you guys are still here. Thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 155 of the Hub 408. Me, Ron Sar, and Ninja Iceberg. Hope you guys are doing well. We're just talking about movies,
Yeah.
entertainment, pop culture, real quick. Uh, Currently, the state of Marvel. But I was gonna say every week though we look at the follies of DC, right? And I like how this week, Ninja, they talked about, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe we might cancel
They're
Flash.
considering it right now, and it's like, wait, how did you
When
not consider that before?
and literally last Friday they were like, oh, Flash is full forward.
Yeah.
Ain't no stop. Like
Yeah.
Flash, everything's good in Flashland.
They
You know what
filmed
I'm
the
saying?
movie with Ezra Miller in between incidences. Like he would have an incident, film some scenes, and have another incident a month later, right? Like he was in between they were filming the movie while he was committing these crimes, these felonies, right? Like they knew what was going on as they were filming it.
I always knew I didn't like this dude for some reason, or them for some reason. If I have to be politically correct against a creepazoid,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of crazy, right? But all I'm saying is that this person who has a franchise bestowed upon their feet, right? Ninja, like
Yeah.
this guy's virtually an unknown person. Ezra Miller, I couldn't even tell you a project that person was in before this. You know what I mean? I
I,
couldn't.
I honestly don't remember anymore. I think he was fairly popular. Like he was in that Timothy Chalamet kind of realm before the Flash, but whereas Timothy Chalamet is actually like I feel like Timothy Chalamet is actually a pretty legit actor. Like watching some of his stuff, I actually
Is he
like
gonna
him.
be a
I,
badass? You think
he's
he's
a
gonna be a
he's a pretty.
badass?
I think he's gonna be really good. I think it's weird. I mean, yes, I understand he's a pretty boy, but the dude's from New York. you know, the dude's from like New York, New Jersey, or some
He
shit
can
like
turn
that.
into a man's
He's
man right
he's
before
from.
our
I
eyes.
think he's literally from Staten Island or some shit like, or Long Island or something like that. And the dude, like he didn't grow up poor, but he didn't grow up like you know he didn't grow up like rich or anything like that. Like the dude is like he's like a normal dude. He just happens to be a very attractive young man, and got in the game, and he actually went to school for like acting. I think is the thing. So
Timothy, what's his name? Shamlay.
Chalamet, like the dude actually has like bona fides, like the dude
Well,
actually
if you're gonna
knows
be
knows what's
headlining
up.
Dune, right,
Yeah,
and other property like that, yeah, you got to have some chops. If
yeah.
you know, hi
Let's see.
Mario, hi Ice Guy, ¿cómo está?
So yeah, Ezra Miller probably got big in the "We Need to Talk About Kevin" movie and "Perks of Being a Wallflower." So those are some of the smaller movies, like a little bit more indie-ish type movies. And then he was basically in Fantastic Beasts movies.
That's what
So
made him. Then I'm pretty sure
that's
that's
what
what
made
made
him.
him.
That's what made him launch. Yeah, but
Hmm.
Timothy Chalamet, yeah, like the guy, like I said, the guy is pretty legit. Yeah, he's from New York, and the stuff that I watched him in, I felt like he was pretty good in those things. Yeah, Call Me by Your Name. He was nominated for an
Casey,
Academy Award,
thank you.
and he was in Lady Bird, Little Women, and the Dune movie. So yeah, the guy's pretty legit.
We're talking about Timothy. Say what's his name again?
Chalamet
Chalamet. Timothy
versus
Chalamet.
versus Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's from New Jersey. Timothy Chalamet's from New York. He grew up in Hell's Kitchen.
I was talking about to somebody the other day, like, there's no man's man type actor anymore, right? But I was corrected after watching a couple movies, these past couple days. But if you're saying like somebody like a Timothy Chalamet, right, or what, I can't even say his name. But I'm just saying certain guys that you would never think, okay, this dude's gonna be the it dude, or he's gonna be the man's man, the alpha male type role. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't
But
know why,
anyone can
but
do it. Anyone can do it.
anybody can do it. Like, I don't know why it came up on my timeline, but guys like Leonardo and Brad Pitt were coming
Yeah.
up on my
Mhm.
movie timeline for some reason, right? So you go watch that
Okay.
some of that stuff. These guys started on growing pains, right? They started on Growing Pains,
Well, Leonardo, yeah,
and they you know, fast forward, they became the biggest people on earth, right?
sure, yeah,
But you also look at their body of work too, and you
hmm
would think, oh, okay, this guy could be a Nancy boy. You can't even use words like that anymore, right? But like this dude is probably a soft dude, and they end up doing major blockbusters or like alpha male type roles that make you feel some type of
yeah,
way, right?
sure.
Embrace your masculinity and all that stuff. So
I mean,
I
that just
wouldn't.
shows the range. That just shows these guys have
Correct,
range. They can
correct.
play, sensitive, and they can play, toxic. It just means that they're good at what they do. Like a Brad Pitt. He started off as the pretty boy again, right?
Hmm.
He was known as basically just a pretty boy, and then he started doing a lot of like serious movies, dramatic movies, action movies, and he just expanded his range until now he's Brad Pitt, international superstar. So
And I think I like the way that he did it, Ninja, where he went more so the drama route first. Would you agree? It's not like Brad Pitt came out and started doing action movies when he was
mm,
super young. You know what I mean? He
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
let me try to find these roles. And then
Well,
when
I,
he
I think I think it's because he looked soft when he first started off that he got those roles, right? Like it wasn't until he had a little bit of clout that he started doing like taking
what
on
was his
media roles.
what yeah, what was his first action type movie?
First action type movie, probably Fight Club,
I mean, how much more how much more alpha male can you get, right? Than
right? Because you go from being a pretty boy and like fucking a river runs through it or whatever the fuck it was. What was it? Was that the movie or
well, he did
what
Legends of the
the
Fall probably at the time.
Legends
He
of
did
the Legends of the Fall? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interview with the Vampire also,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, some movies that made him look very femme, very soft. And then I think he did Fight Club, and people were like, "Oh shit." Like, I'm trying to remember what else he's done. If he did anything before that, that was very like manly, But I don't think there was anything before that.
Hi, Jules. How are you?
So I think just discounting some of these people because they look like they might be soft is probably not the best. Um, it's probably not the best thing.
What up, Jay Bionic? But when's the last time though that you watched a movie and said, well, no, actually, I can't ask you that. You like intellectual movies, but when's the last time a common man?
The movie
when's the last
Nobody,
time? When's the last time you were like, I'm gonna watch this? Nobody wants to watch a common man. They want to watch somebody that's geeked up that you can't relate to, right? That you can, I don't know. I don't
no,
know.
no, the last movie where I watched like basically a common man go buck wild was like Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. Like I didn't
Mm.
know Bob Odenkirk had that in him, but that was basically his taken.
Yeah.
Like that movie was actually really really dope, surprisingly. Let's see. Yeah, Brad Pitt was in Thelma and Louise, River Runs Through It, and Legends of the Fall. And
Ugh.
then he was in like three straight like movies where he basically was like, not really action movies. Then he was in Interview with a Vampire. Then he was in Seven. So he went from that to Seven to 12 Monkeys to Fight Club. So
Did
yeah,
the sci-fi thing?
he took a hard turn from like the drama stuff into like genre films. So yeah,
And I think at that time in his life, he of course had that clout to go and do that. To where I've
yeah.
already done your guys's Legends of the Fall and
hmm
whatever else that I'm gonna go and hopefully
Well, I
make the
mean,
movies that I'm gonna want to make. It seemed like
yeah,
he
wasn't
he
one of
started
these
doing that.
movies with Robert Redford? Yeah, River Runs Through It had Robert Redford directing.
Crazy.
So I mean, the fact that he probably did really really well in that movie, and then he had Legends of the Fall. I mean, he worked with Anthony Hopkins like right off the bat, first three movies. So yeah, first movie he worked
Crazy.
with like Thelma and Louise. So he had like look at the people that he worked with, you know. And then he had like that short cameo in True Romance.
One of the best cameos ever.
So good.
Guy on the couch
Guy
smoking
on
some weed
couch. Yep. Out of the honey bear
out of the honey
bottle.
bear.
So good. So good. So
What's
yeah.
your but
Hmm.
what's your favorite Brad Pitt type movie? Or yeah, in the last whatever. What would be your standouts for you?
I don't know. I don't really look at Brad Pitt like that. You know, like
Mm,
I see him. He's good. I'm not really a fan. I don't hate him. I don't despise him. I'll watch movies that he's in, but he's not like a box office draw or anything for me. Like I follow mainly IPs rather than actors. You know.
mm, mm,
Or concepts. Like if it's not based on a comic book, it's like, oh, what's the concept for this movie? What's the concept for that movie? You know. So Brad Pitt. I don't know. I think let's see. Obviously, when I was younger, Fight Club was probably like right, just right up there because it was at that time where it was I was very impressionable and it could make an impression on me, and I still like a lot of the movie, but I understand that it's very problematic in a lot of ways.
mm-hmm,
Um, I don't know. I honestly, my favorite Brad Pitt movie is probably Seven.
mm.
But I think that's mainly because of the general cast overall, the director, the vibes, just everything about that movie, not just Brad Pitt.
Gotcha. I was trying to think of what I've liked, and I did like whatever is what was that the Tarantino film. I really
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. I really dug that. I dug both of them in there. They were really really good to me in there. And World War Z was okay, right? That was another.
It's
It
a
was
zombie
okay,
movie.
yeah,
It's a
but
zombie movie that wasn't.
it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
that
think
that
of
yeah, it was
something
completely
that
like
stood out. I'm trying to think of what else stood out for me.
the
Oh,
Ocean's
and
movies.
Ocean's movies and Glorious
Glorious
Bastards.
Bastards is really good. Yeah,
Those are probably my favorite roles of his. But I couldn't tell you.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith was enjoyable. I felt,
Enjoyable, but also
but
like
forgettable, very forgettable.
forgettable. Correct.
Like I like the concept more than I like the movie.
Yes, and I don't think it needs multiple viewings
No.
with your partner. That's kind of gross, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is our favorite movie. Like, ew, why?
Like
Um,
it was a fun enough movie. I felt like the action could have been better. Like uh, I'm always very critical of action movies just because I grew up watching, obviously 80s action movies and Hong Kong action movies,
correct.
So my taste for action movies are very discerning, I want to say. Like if some of the choreography is kind of lackluster, it totally takes me out of the movie, and that's kind of what happened with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like some of the choreography and action was really cool, very inventive, but some of it was very like meh, and I think it might have also been the camera work that kind of made me go, I don't really know why I don't like it. I might have to rewatch it to understand what I didn't like about it the first time through, but it's not that interesting of a movie to rewatch. you know?
When earlier I was talking about, certain guys that you didn't think would, come with it, and they come, they bring it and all
Mhm.
that stuff. This movie might have came up. I don't know if we ever talked about it. I'm not. I think you might have even said, "Hey, have you guys seen this?" But I recently watched The Gray Man.
I did watch it.
Okay, got you. Hey, Denny, how are you? Talking about movies real quick. So, spoiler alert at all times. You know what I mean? We don't mean ruin your guys' movie experience or anything like that. But The Gray Man, I don't remember the last time I even watched a movie to where, well, maybe I have, but like where you enjoy a movie that has nothing to do with comic books, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys, Waldo, that only goes to the movies if it happens to be a fucking Marvel
sure.
movie, right?
Mm.
So, or even watch something right away, you know what I mean? So, um, watching this movie was amazing, and we were talking about guys earlier who like, you don't know if they got it in them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What's his name is a fucking beast in
Chris
this.
Evans,
Uh, well, Chris Evans. I'm talking about Gosling, Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling. Well, I mean, he's basically the same character as like the guy in Drive.
Correct, but I mean,
So
it even gets to a point where these are normal people, and they just completely no sell everything as if it's an action movie. Ninja, where he's getting thrown out of a vehicle, something
mhm,
explodes behind him, and he has absolutely no physical or facial reaction. He's just standing there
yeah,
looking hard as fuck. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
and and it the thing. So I watched Gray Man, and I don't really. I personally was not that into the movie. Like I didn't think the action wasn't as that was that interesting. I thought the characters were fun. Like yeah, I did like Ryan Gosling, and I did like Chris
Chris
Evans.
Evans, yeah,
I
he
thought
was
the
great.
story was kind of whatever. Even for a generic action movie, it was kind of whatever.
It was already a
Um,
ridiculous story to be. I mean, everything was ridiculous about it. I think, right? There was
I
moments
don't
in there
even
where
know
it's
for
like it borderlines like it's almost trying to copy a comic book genre.
right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, that makes sense because it was directed by the Russo brothers,
Correct,
right?
correct.
You know, Russo brothers of Marvel, Infinity War, Marvel's Endgame, Marvel's Captain America: Civil War.
Yep.
You know, like so yeah, it feels like that. The way I describe this movie, and I don't hate the movie, but the way I describe this movie is like it's basically a tech demo.
Mm.
It's it hits all the right buttons, right? It has all the right stuff in the movie. Um, it's just not that interesting. Like for me, it's kind of forgettable, and it's weird, and that's what makes it memorable for me is that it's so forgettable, like it's so generic. And I mean, I'm not trying to be a snob or anything like that. I love action movies, like you know, I love the Fast and Furious movies. I love John Wick. I love the Marvel movies. You know, I'm very much a basic bitch when it comes to action movies. You know, but but there's a certain amount of memorability, something that makes it stick in your mind that makes
Yeah.
you go, "Oh, that's very interesting." Even like Taken, like obviously Liam Neeson is not like a powerhouse when it comes to being an action movie star, right? But even they were able to make him look really really good in that movie and very believable. And you
Yeah,
know,
they tricked us.
every single time he says some lines, especially the fucking like, you know, I will find you and I will kill you line. It's like, holy shit, dude. When you bring an actor of that caliber with that gravitas to a silly action movie, it's kind of like it kind of takes it to a next level, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was kind of expecting something along those lines with Gray Man. None of that really happened. Like nothing sticks out in my brain. Like I don't remember any of the dialogue, to be honest. All I remember is Chris
And he
Evans just
he
hamming it
barely
up.
had any.
Yeah.
I think Gosling barely had any, which is I think how he
Mhm.
likes his movies, right?
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
tells the people like, dude, don't write me any fucking lines, Ninja.
That's why I kind of want to watch the Ken and Barbie movie because it's like I wonder what's gonna happen in that movie because there's no shot that he's not gonna have any lines when he's on screen, right? Like the guy, like he's gonna be talking, right?
Hmm.
I mean, he's gonna have to be. I can't imagine him just being silent the entire movie, like fucking Drive or Gray Man or some shit like that.
Do you remember that line too where Chris Evans says he calls him a Ken doll,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
No, no, I'm pretty sure that
they
they threw
knew,
that in there.
right?
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
But
I
I
think,
love how we have that meta type
yeah,
humor in these type of vehicles. And by the way, shout out to Chris Evans for rocking the loafers, right? Ankles
oh
out,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
kicking ass,
Very stylish, very stylish.
right?
The mustache, yeah,
Very cool, very
yeah.
very cool. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
like I said, I
yeah.
really wanted to enjoy it. There's a lot of things going for it, and it's a solid movie to throw on in the background while you do something else.
Mm.
Like that's what it is for me. I know a lot of people might have enjoyed it. There's going to be a sequel to this movie. I
Oh,
get
is
it.
there?
Yeah, the
Oh
cast is
wow.
ridiculous. The cast is ridiculous. The pedigree's insane. It's just the way just the way the whole thing comes together is kind of like it's fine. Like it didn't wow me to the point where I'm gushing about it. You know, unlike some other movies that we might have watched this week that we might get to.
What's up, Share the Love? How are you? Yeah, so hey, let's talk about it. One of your recos from last week. Hi, Wen Love. How are you? We're just talking about movies real quick. So spoiler alert, y'all can leave and just watch this later on
Yeah,
Elite
y'all
X
can get the fuck out of here.
Kumu. Yeah, Elite X Kumu on YouTube. The episode is right after this, so you guys could watch it in case again, spoiler alert at all times. It says here somewhere in the banner. You know what I mean? But have you guys
It's
watched
all of that is
Prey?
cut off. All of that is cut off.
Have you guys watched Prey yet? Because that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the movie Prey. It was one of Ninja's recommendations from last week. And I remember watching the trailer and I was like, oh shit, I know what this is. I'm going to go watch it. So we're going to be talking about this movie real quick. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Episode 155 of the Hub
155. Yeah.
Faraway.
I don't want to. I mean, yeah, there's spoiler
Spoiler
alert, but
free?
that's not a whole lot of spoilers in this movie. It's a pretty like the plot is very standard. It's very like you would expect. It's pretty much what you would expect. I don't think there's a whole lot to spoil with this movie.
Mm.
But what we can talk about is why we liked it. Like why did you enjoy this movie?
Okay. Well, I think because of the setting. For me personally, Waldo, I love the fact that it was set amongst it's a Native American story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um,
Set in the 1700s. Yeah.
1700s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't get to see movies like that anymore to where when that type of stuff was out, it was probably being made by certain people that couldn't give proper representation to what um, what culture and what those people are, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to show or to see something on your screen, I know there's a lot of talk about representation, especially in the Filipino community or whatever. These last couple of weeks, or people are talking about certain movies. But if you want to talk about full representation, especially if you happen to be an American, you know what I'm saying? If you happen to be an American, like that movie Prey, besides it being a predator movie,
Yep.
that is such a badass movie just in general. And I think it is because of the representation. Ninja had talked about um, the actors going back and redubbing the entire movie in their language,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to where we could read along with some subtitles or whatever and really get a feel for the acting that they do, through their native language. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I happen to watch it though with English the
The
regular
original
language.
English, yeah, the original English, yeah.
But to see again, I'm not Native American.
Hmm.
Ninja's not Native American, but we could relate to a lot of things in this movie of like how their people are, uh, maybe lessons in love, respect, whatever it is. You know,
Sure, yeah,
we can relate to that, but also relating to the fact that it's a badass movie. This
yeah.
is a badass movie. You know what I mean? So that's what I liked about it. First off, Ninja, what up, RH? How are you? What up to Begotten? How are you, Ube family? Also, we're talking about the movie Prey. Ninja, what about you? What was one thing first that you liked about this movie?
Um, I might have touched upon it last week. I don't remember, but I really liked I mean, besides the setting, right? Like you kind of brought up the setting. The setting is definitely great and really proves that you could probably throw a predator down in any time period and it would be fucking amazing. Like who
Yup.
wouldn't want to watch like Predator versus samurais, Predator versus the Roman Legion, Predator versus the medieval knights, some
Mm-hmm.
shit like that, like a Predator and just a predator in the middle of Africa, the savannah, of Africa
Mm-hmm.
or some shit like that. I mean, you could just throw them in anywhere, and it would be fucking awesome. I mean, that's just this movie is proof of that. You could throw them
Mm-hmm.
into any setting. Throw them into the middle of like 18th century Philippines, and it'd be like, oh shit, what is what the fuck,
Mm-hmm.
that would be fucking cool too. Like any kind of setting would be fucking amazing. Um, but I really liked the main character. Like
Yeah.
I know she's getting a lot of flack from a lot of like dudes saying talking their shit, and it's like one tweet I read basically was like these same people forgot that the first Terminator was taken out by, no, or the Terminator is basically taken out by a waitress, right? Like, I mean, like think about that. Like Sarah Connor's a waitress and she's fucking taking out fucking Arnold. So don't give
Strong
me
these
that shit.
strong female characters have been here taking out monsters
Right.
or menaces like Jamie Lee Curtis with
Jamie Lee
Michael
Curtis, Princess
Myers,
Leia.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Just because in this franchise it hasn't really been happening. Like, who was the last woman? Like, Sanaa Lathan was in AVP, and she was fucking like kicking ass. The movie was terrible, but that's people bitching about that and how she's like a Mary Sue. I'm like, dude, if you watch the movie, you can actually see her, first of all, being very smart and very knowledgeable about what she needs to do to be a good hunter. But you see her level up throughout the entire movie,
Yep.
right? Like you see her learn something about hunting here and applying that lesson later. It's like, oh, I'm going to hunt this. Oh, now I'm going to hunt that. And she keeps leveling up and keeps learning and learning. And then when she finally starts to encounter the predator, she learns how to hunt him too, right? Like she learns
Which is crazy. I love her
yeah,
realization, right?
right.
Of like I'm figuring this dude out. I
Yeah.
could yeah, so badass.
Yeah, like the first time she sees him she's like, "Oh, I can see him because of like the blood that's on him." She's learning shit like that. She's learning his weapon. She's learning his fighting style. She's learning what makes him, how does he hunt? Does he hunt with bait? That kind of stuff. And
Mm,
and yeah, so there's all these little things that throughout the movie they sprinkle in how she's learning about her prey, right? And that's the cool thing about it is that you think, yeah, predators hunt prey, but it's always about the predator becoming the prey, becoming the predator, becoming the prey. It's this whole thing. That's pretty much what these movies are about. It's about people being hunted, and it's about people hunting. And so it's the same thing with Naru. The main character, Amber Midthunder. She continuously grows throughout the entire movie and trying to figure out how to be a better hunter as she progresses, in her learnings. And that's what I found really awesome about this movie is that, yeah, if you really think about it, these Native Americans are totally fucked, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
zero technology against this way more advanced civilization, and it kind of parallels, Europeans coming over to Native American to North America back in the day. It kind of parallels that. They do throw some French trappers into the mix as well to kind of bring that all home. Um, but it really, you know, yeah, obviously you're not expecting this predator to be taken out by a bunch of people throwing like stone hatchets, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
she's literally got a stone hatchet. It's not gonna. What is that gonna do to this guy that's taken out like aliens, xenomorphs? So the fact that they put the time and the effort to really build her up to make you believe that in the end she could take this guy out was amazing to me. Like I thought that was an amazing journey all the way through in terms of like building up the character and proving to us that someone like her could feasibly take out something like a predator. So that's
What,
that's one thing I really enjoyed about this movie.
one thing that you had talked about how I think it might have been last week or whatever, but you talked about how you see the cycles, right? And I remember you saying
Mhm.
something about you see the cycles of stuff, and I guess my interpretation of that while I was watching or after was you don't just get to see the predator hunting humans; you
Mhm.
get to see it go against
He's
aggressive
level.
animals
He's
or people.
leveling up too. Yeah, he's
Yes,
leveling up too. Like he starts small and he starts leveling up.
and mind you, some people. I'm not a CGI complainer. I'm not one of those guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But whatever animal they showed getting into a fight to me was just fucking awesome. I just
Yeah.
thought like that's so badass. Even there's this one thing where they're hunting the predator, but there
Mhm.
also happens to either get it confused with a lion or was it a lion or
The mountain lion,
correct
very early on. Yeah.
early on, and it shows our heroine take a huge hit on the head, right, from falling on
Mhm.
the rock, falling off the branch. But even that little fight was kind of badass, where
Yeah.
you're seeing um, you're seeing animals that you don't normally see in our movies, right?
Mhm.
To where you see them at their absolute best.
Yeah.
Like you saw that bear and the way that bear was just reacting to everything. Why wouldn't that bear not be smart like that? Right? Bears are supposedly very
Right.
smart, and
They're pretty
you know,
clever. Yeah.
so like for the bear to like, smell that there was something else around.
Yeah. I enjoyed the detail that showed that she was upwind,
Yes.
and when the wind blew, the bear noticed her scent, and it's like, oh, that's a nice little detail. That it's like, oh, okay, yeah,
And not only that, it's not like, oh, the bear's gonna chase you, and then once it's off screen, it's they went back a couple of times to where this bear
yeah,
was fucking chasing you, and not only that,
yeah,
just to see that fight
hmm,
is awesome.
yeah,
Uh, People were complaining also. A lot of people complain, but about the look of the predator. I thought he looked awesome.
yeah,
More of a not evolved yet.
right.
Correct? They're not evolved.
I mean, yeah, because if you think about it, it's also 300 years in the past for them, right?
Yeah,
Like, yes, they're still technologically advanced, but fashion for them has also evolved since 300 years ago. So yeah, they're not going to have that dope ass mask that you're normally used to them wearing. And I like that choice that the director
yeah.
uh, put in for
Me
that.
too. Me too.
Like they were thinking, hey, what's one way to kind of differentiate, the predator of the 1700s versus the predator of the 1980s, and having the bone mask that they wore. Like, you know that they take trophies. So his reasoning was, you know that they take trophies, so why not have his mask be made from the trophy? And showing the mandible was actually kind of an interesting choice as well, because
Yeah.
normally you don't see the
Yeah.
mandible until they
Hmm.
take the mask off. But in this case, yeah, it's kind of interesting that they would do that. The targeting system was also very interesting, and because you're used to them shooting the plasma cannon, right? Like
Yeah.
with the targeting system, but in this case, it's these three homing spears, or these darts that the predator uses. So you can kind of look at that as, oh, that's the old version of the cannon,
Yep.
and this is the
Yep.
new version of the cannon. And the spears that they use, it's a little bit clunkier, whereas in the future it's a little bit more smooth and kind of futuristic and shiny, whereas this one's a little bit clunkier, but it's got all kinds of like little uh, you can take it apart and stuff like that. The shield that he uses is a mechanical shield. It's ablative, so it comes out and
That was
pops out of.
badass.
It's so fucking cool, and the way he uses the shield was so fucking
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I guess these are the things that we don't want to spoil, is the set pieces and the fight scenes, and
Mm.
how they fight and all that kind of. Those are the spoilers. It's the plot is kind of whatever, right? Uh, People are getting hunted, and they have to fight back, But yeah, the fight scenes is where it's at, and that's where the character really shines and really shows you who they are, and I thought that was really cool. Um, yeah, and yeah, it's kind of silly that people are complaining about the way the Predator looks, and I thought it was very interesting, and like, maybe some people thought it was a little confusing because they weren't really sure what they were looking at, because it's kind of like this flat mask kind of thing, right? That's kind of
Mm.
just on his face, and compared to the sleek full face mask, um, where it's all silvery and chrome or whatever,
Mm.
traditionally. So maybe that was a little confusing, but it's a little bit more grimy, and that kind of tells you that it's like, yeah, this is 300 years ago. Predators change as well. So
Completely love the look. I mean, you brought up the whole, it being made of bone. You know what I mean? I was like, just like what you said. Why not? It
yeah,
shows an evolution to the
hmm
movies that that we know. And it's funny how this goes back to movies like Star Wars and things like Terminator or whatever. But how ahead of our time were we to where certain visionaries in the 80s were like, hey, this is the type of movie we're going to make. These are the type of ideas, concepts, to where when we do their movies or a connection or a reboot or whatever of said movie, we'll also take it back to where, hey, what would the technology be though
hmm
during the settings of these movies? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I
yeah,
like the fact that they put that little effort into it of, hey, we're not going to have the predators look the same because it's still a not really an evolved look, right? Species or whatever. So um, yeah, just a great movie. Just like what you said, the main heroine of the movie was just so badass to see
yeah.
her journey, to see her relationship with
Her brother, the rest of the tribe, her
yep,
mom, yeah,
her dog, right?
yeah, her dog. Yeah, the dog is arguably the second main character.
The only thing I
Like,
do want
her
to
else.
the only thing I do want to spoil, right? And I don't want to completely spoil it, but I don't know if I might have talked about this on the hub like in the early days. And this is pre Kumu for you guys. This is when we were, still doing our stuff on audio back in the day. But I remember saying something about, I know it was either to you guys, right? Because who else do I talk to? But saying something about whatever happened to quicksand, right?
Yeah,
Whatever happened to quicksand?
sure.
And
Everyone wonders about quicksand.
but Did you? I think, man, I don't think millennials or whatever. I don't think these two kids know what the fuck quicksand is because we had to learn about quicksand in movies,
Yeah,
cartoons,
yeah, yeah.
right?
It was a very popular trope back in the 80s. Yeah.
Right. So to
hmm
see quicksand, or I don't know. That's not really quicksand. I don't know what you would
Not
call
really
that.
quicksand, but yeah, you could basically call it quicksand. Yeah,
To see that make a return on
yeah,
my television screen was, I don't know if you had the same feeling like, oh shit, this is a like a tar pit, like quicksand. Oh, this is,
yeah,
I haven't seen one of these in a long time.
yeah. It was that, and the fact that it was basically paying homage to the first Predator movie that made me go, "Oh, damn, that's a." Like I was reading an article, and even they were like, "What?" The director, when they were filming that scene, was like, "Hey, why does this look so familiar?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's from the first." His DP was like, "Yeah, this is from the first Predator movie." And he's like, "Oh, right." Like
And
he
what I
didn't even realize it when they were filming it.
and this is the second thing that I wanted to go to also, which was you do a movie excellent of a former movie where you the fan service was sprinkled very
Yeah.
lightly,
hmm
right?
Yep. Yep.
It
Yep.
was amazing the way they did it. They didn't have to show a whole bunch of like, oh,
Yeah.
you remember that? Oh, you remember that?
Yeah.
No, to where it's
Yeah.
just a little bit,
If
dude.
it
It's a
bleeds, we can kill it. Yeah.
which was completely appropriate too,
Yeah. It was
right?
very appropriate when I heard that line. It's like I was like, oh shit.
Yep,
And it
yep,
completely fits in the situation. Like it wasn't
yes,
forced. Like,
no.
well, I mean, I guess you can say it was forced, but at the same time, it's not. Like if you're not familiar with that line, it would have just been like, oh, that's just another line. But it's like, oh shit, dude, it's a callback to the first Predator movie. And
But
then,
let's say you've never even watched the first Predator. This is your
yeah,
first time ever, which
uh-huh.
is great for you, right? This is awesome for you. This is the first time ever watching
If
Predator.
you've never watched a Predator movie, this is an excellent introduction. Yeah, because it actually feels like the first Predator movie in a lot of ways.
But when he says that line, you're gonna remember that line as well. You know what I mean? Because he figures it out. Like we don't have to be afraid of this
Yeah.
too. This can die. You know what I
hmm
mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the fact that they had that moxie of like, no, let's try and get this. And shout out to her too. She didn't want to quit. She wanted to
hmm
prove to herself, to her brother, whoever, that hey, I could hunt and I
Yeah.
would go out and do this by myself. I loved her energy of that. Remember
hmm
that one part where all the women of the tribe, they were going about to go do their chores for the day or
Yeah.
whatever, and
And she turns around. Yeah.
yeah, she was like, nope, not me. I'm out of here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
How she held up herself against the boys when they were trying to bring her home, and she's kicking ass. I mean, there's
Yeah.
the storytelling, the little things that they had thrown in between was just awesome. And
Yeah.
like what we said too, they're not catering to the fan service here. You know what I mean? Too
Yeah.
much.
Right.
Yeah.
They throw some in there to have a bit of an homage and obviously to pay tribute to the original Predator movie, but it's not overbearing. Uh, it's not super obvious. That they throw
Mm-hmm.
all those kinds of things in there, like the mud part, right? Like how it harkens back to the original Predator, and then they just move on. Like they don't
Yep.
even dwell on that. They're just
Yep.
like, oh, well, we're on to the next part of this hunt, and I really appreciated that. Like it was nice for me as a fan of the original movie, and then they just kind of took it somewhere else. Like I was
And they
like, oh my
figured,
god,
yeah, they took certain things that'll click in your brain, but then they figured out a different way to do it.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it was a really and so all these things combined made it for me just like a really awesome move. Like hell, I was talking to some friends, and it's like the whole leveling up system, and it's kind of like a video game, sure, but the way they do it, it's not like in your face like a video game. It's just there's a reason for her to learn something. She learns it and then she applies it. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then everything levels up. Like her hatchet levels up, and I was just like, what the fuck? in the middle of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, she's just learned like you, but it makes sense why her hatchet levels up. You know, it's because she's like, oh, I ran into this issue and I'm problem solving and I've developed a new thing to do with the hatchet that makes me a better hunter, you know, uh, and so yeah, there's all these. I can't gush about it enough. I feel like I feel like I'm like a dumb fanboy about this movie, but I really did enjoy it, and I don't really like to hype up movies like that just because I don't want people to go in there with an inflated expectation and come out going, oh, I guess it was all right. So that's why I didn't hype it up like crazy. But now that we're talking about it and we're reminiscing on the stuff that we enjoyed about this movie, it's like, dude, there's so many parts about this movie that was just really fucking cool
Yep.
that I feel like everyone should at least watch it just to understand why we like it, you know. So
I really like the they'll hit you with certain things too, to where it's like, oh yeah, I forgot there's other people here. So when they introduce certain characters, it hits you.
mhm.
You
Yeah,
know, it hits you pretty good. You know, yeah, there. I just love this movie. The pacing of it, I thought was what you know, the
it
storytelling,
it took its
really
time.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took its time to really unfold. Like I was talking to a buddy, and he thought the beginning was slow, and I'm like, well, it is a slower pace, but I wouldn't call it slow because I was really interested in this world and this culture, and
Hmm.
if you don't really get to see a whole lot of Native American centered movies, right? Like they're
Correct.
not
Hmm.
usually the main characters. So to get something like that and to see them be front and center and get to see a little bit of their culture, I found that to be very fascinating and very interesting. And then seeing them go hunt, like I know it's not a documentary, I know but it's as authentic as they could make it. You know, they had like
Yeah.
two consultants, they had like two consultants or something like that. One of them was like a Native American expert on fighting tactics and stuff like that. Some of the hand signs that they made was a hybrid of real hand signs and hand signs that they created for the movie for tactics and things like that. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of little things that they throw in there that was really fascinating, especially in the beginning when you're just watching them go about their day hunting and gathering and just basically trying to sustain themselves. These little things were just really interesting to me, um, and 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 so I it is a slower pace, but I really enjoyed it because it really took its time to really put you into their world and really like lets you absorb that they're this is the 1700s. We don't have the modern technology that we're normally used to. These 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 people back then relied on the land for like everything. You know, they had
Hmm.
stone weapons because they didn't have metal back then, so or very few metal, so they had stone weapons. Their bows and arrows are very basic, you know.
And
So
they
yeah,
really
it
took
was.
they really made it down to earth, to where usually when we see people in tribes or in a group, a gang, they're usually these big muscular dudes, you know what I mean,
Yeah, mhm,
henchmen.
yeah,
But instead, you get these regular ass, skinny ass.
yeah, yeah.
You got some regular looking folks.
Right.
Um, you
Like
know,
they're not superhumanly jacked. They're in very good shape. They're very strong for and all that kind of stuff. But they're not comic book jacked, right?
yeah. Some of these
So
guys
so
are
yeah,
damn
it's very
near
grounded.
really skinny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, oh dang,
Mhm.
dude, they got real. But at the same time, the overall look of them in their in their garb and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They look
Mm-hmm.
very
The
intimidating.
war paint and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they look very. It's like, dude, you're not wearing that war paint. You're not wearing any of that if you didn't earn it, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean. What it
Mm-hmm.
is, right? So it's like it's a very like realistic
Yeah.
as you can,
Right.
because again,
Yeah.
this is a fucking alien movie,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a predators, but it's a
Yeah.
fucking alien being, you know what I mean, descending upon 1700s.
Yeah.
God, what city were they
E-
in?
They were in the northern Great Plains. Excuse me.
So
Northern Great
that's
Plains. It's like
where was
Montana, Wyoming,
Wyoming.
you know, all the way down to like maybe Missouri or something like that. Because there's
Mm.
also the southern Great Plains, which is like Oklahoma, Texas, those kinds of areas. And this is the northern part of that. Um, I actually had to look that up because I was like, where do the Comanche normally live? And they apparently normally live in the southern Great Plains.
Mm.
But these people were, I guess they were more nomadic and they traveled up north a little bit more. So that's where they were in like the Canada border, maybe just below that kind of area. Um, so, yeah.
I like how they're also on the cusp of technology
Hmm.
happening
Yeah.
in their own real world too,
Yeah. Yeah. They
right? Like,
encounter Europeans and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, One thing that I thought was really interesting, and this is towards the end of the movie. Uh, do you remember the part where they're about to do the final fight, and she's like sitting in front of the bonfire,
yeah,
and she whistles in front of that bonfire, right? And obviously to us, it's kind of like because we don't know the significance of that, it's kind of like okay, whatever, right? But apparently, according to some Native American tribes, that is bad luck, and it's supposed to bring a bad spirit to you if you whistle at night.
oh
So,
wow,
yeah, so whistling at night is not a good thing. But I like how in this case, if you know that bit of cultural tidbit, she's basically fucking like
inviting.
she's calling out the predator. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that was later on when I read that, I was like, oh dang, she's going, what's up? She's doing the what's up.
such a badass movie, right?
Yeah, it's so good, so good.
And even if that was your first time watching a Predator movie, you know what I mean. I think you'd enjoy the hell out of it, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then again, if you were to watch the next ones out, if you were to follow it in its chronological order, right,
Hmm.
ending with
Hmm.
two, I
No.
think I think you would have some type of satisfaction. I don't think you need to go and watch the entire
Yes.
Aliens
Yeah.
versus Predator. You don't have to go through that, but maybe all the way up until Predator 2 and call it a day.
Hmm.
I would say
Yeah.
this is a pretty good that's a pretty good three movie.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking good.
Hmm.
I was gonna say, Ninja, have you? I don't remember for me though, but did you watch any of the recent ones?
So I didn't watch the Predator, the one with Keegan Michael Key from Key and Peele.
Yeah,
He was in that one Predator movie. I didn't watch that one. I watched all the other ones. So the Adrian Brody Predators, the Battle Royale Predators, I watched that one. I
I heard that
wasn't.
okay, right?
It's
They said
it's
that was
okay. It's
okay.
okay. Like I don't know. I think for some, so one of my buddies really liked it because the premise of that story is that 8 badass killers from Earth are taken to a planet and predators hunt them. Right? It's kind of like the whole hard target, greatest game or whatever.
Mm,
Um, they bring these guys and they hunt them, and the premise is great. I wasn't that big of a fan of the execution, and I felt like there were too many characters. Like you didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with all of them.
mm,
But for some people, like a buddy of mine, he liked that aspect. Like he really liked Predators because he got to see a whole bunch of people, you know, display who they are and then fight a predator. You know,
Mm.
so you got to see a lot of variations of how different people fight. I think there was there was a samurai
Samurai. That's the one
type
I remember
person.
the most. Yeah.
There's a samurai type person who fights a predator. There's Adrian Brody. There's like a serial killer. So there's a bunch of people uh, who show up and have to survive. That one's okay. The two AVP movies were not very good. Like honestly, they were not memorable. Okay. Like I remember the first AVP because it was set in like, you know, Antarctica and yeah, like I said, Sanaa Lathan I think was the main
Mm.
human character in that. Um, had nothing to do with the AVP books, but besides that fact that it's Aliens versus Predator. The second Aliens versus Predator movie, I honestly cannot even remember what happens in that movie. I watched it and I was like, and it's basically boom gone. Like there's nothing. Like I feel like I might have watched the Predator movie because I keep mixing like small town uh, fighting aliens, right? Aliens or predators. I keep mixing
Mm.
them up in my head. Like, did I watch the one with Olivia Munn? Because I thought I did, and then I read the synopsis and I'm like, I don't remember watching it. So I honestly cannot remember if I watched The Predator, I think is what it's called.
Mm. Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. So I know I watched AVP. I know I watched AVP Requiem, and I know I watched Predators. I can't remember if I watched The Predator because I feel like I'm mixing that movie up with Aliens versus Predator Requiem because there's also a small town or some shit in that movie.
Mm.
So in my brain, everything after Predator 2 in terms of like the AVP and Predator franchises is so mixed up in my brain that I cannot really like remember any of those movies like at all. It's so weird. Like part of me is like I must be going senile or something because I honestly they were not memorable at all.
Yeah, I think for me, as soon as I saw those trailers, I was like, I'm probably not going to be messing with these movies, even though these are two of the biggest movie franchises ever.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up the books also.
Yeah.
I love the Dark Horse stuff. That was
Mm-hmm.
one of the first times as a kid that you would read these books that are not meant for kids
Yeah.
my age. You know what I mean? So I've always loved the IP. It's
Mm-hmm.
just maybe they weren't giving me the movies that I want. All the
Yeah.
toys, that's great. All the
Mm-hmm.
little video games or whatever that is,
Yeah.
those are great, right?
The
But
AVP arcade game was one of my favorite games
yes,
back in the
dude,
day.
yes.
It was such a cool game.
By Capcom also, correct?
I
Is
believe
that
so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah? So man, yeah, classic game. But I was gonna say like I've loved all the stuff that have nothing to do with the movies. So to actually have a movie now like this, I was also one of the ones that liked Prometheus too, right? Like I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of cool how they went back to doing a dealing with certain things that we are very familiar with, but
Yeah.
not having a whack director or cinematographer tell the story. It was done by actual, a great storyteller. The storytelling in here, the cinematography, everything. You know how we love beautiful movies, pretty
Yeah.
setups and all that stuff. I mean, this movie had it all,
Prey is definitely a good looking movie. Like it is 100% a gorgeous looking movie.
and it also gave me that feeling. And I usually get this feeling whenever I watch westerns, to where you almost forget that half of the country is now civilized with buildings,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So for them to bring you back into a time of like, I really felt
Still
that.
the wild. Yeah, the wild.
Yeah,
Still the
I
wild.
I really felt that in these movies. What up, Bazooka Joe? How are you? What's good, Joe? Are you back from the Philippines, Bazooka? Who was in the Philippines, Ninja? Oh, he's flying out tomorrow.
Mm.
All right, man. Safe travels. I'm gonna be at Pistahan tomorrow in San Francisco. I'm doing a panel. Feel me? If you guys happen to be out there, I don't know who's watching this, but if you guys happen to be out there, um, I'll be at a panel out there. What up to Big Boy Chubbs 08? I think I'm frozen on Kumu, but thank you guys for joining us. My name is Ron Sara. This is Ninja
Yeah,
Iceberg,
yeah.
episode 155.
Freezing. You've been freezing here and there this entire episode.
It's this Wi-Fi that I'm
Yeah.
on, probably. But yeah. Something else that I had seen. Um, I just got on a kick, Ninja, after watching something like Prey. Had to go watch the
Mm.
original Predator. Ended up watching The Gray Man that we talked about earlier. Then I went to something completely different, and I binge watched two things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very popcornish. It's not a reco or anything like that, but it was very light, very fluff. It was I think it was on Nat Geo or something, but it was Rob Lowe talking about the best things from the '80s.
Mm.
So they talked about certain shows, fast food, commercials. You know, kind of cool. It's like three
Interesting.
episodes.
And this was on Discovery or Nat Geo
I believe so. Yeah. So I
on
think.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. It was on. I think it was on Disney Plus. If I'm not mistaken. So they talk about Miami Vice. They talk about
Mm-hmm.
the greatest products or clothes and certain things of the '80s. It was cool. But then I stumbled across on. I think it might have been on Hulu. I stumbled against this one show that I really enjoyed. I just decided to click on it because I think I might have seen the trailer for it. But it's called The Bear.
Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
have you
Yeah,
watched it?
I haven't started it yet. But yeah, a lot of people are really into this show. Apparently it's very good, and a lot of people are talking about the main character and uh, how this guy is like basically really scummy and grimy looking, but they're very attracted to him. He's very attractive in that homeless kind of way, apparently.
Yes, yes. And I think well, watching the movie or watching the series, um, me and you can almost relate to him, even though we're not
Mm,
chefs or we're not,
yeah, line
cook.
cooks or whatever.
We're
Yeah.
not, yeah, we're not that. When you find out who he is,
Mm,
when you see the level of work and discipline and stuff like that, you really empathize with this guy of like, yes, dude, the way things should be is how you want it to be. And you're
mm,
kind of going with him on this journey of why can't people act the same way? Why can't people act accordingly in order
mm,
for the machine to run?
mm,
So it also triggers you into thinking about your work relationships with people
mm,
and
mm,
the certain teams that you've been on. And
mm,
you think, oh, that was a really good crew. Or you might, that was a really shitty crew.
mm,
You
mm,
know what I mean? So you have, or I had thoughts like that while watching the show. Um, yeah, again, this is one of those shows that, like all great cooking shows, you will be hungry
mm,
by all the things that they show, but there's also a sense of uh, it being normal too. Once you get past certain cooking, you understand like, hey, these people do work in a restaurant. You can make chopping onions very movie like, right?
yeah, yeah.
But then there's also that, hey, this is work.
Mm,
This is work. There's nothing, there's nothing flamboyant or fabulous about this life
Yeah.
that we do, you know.
Mhm.
So it also brings you back home to that. So
Yeah.
really good
That
show,
makes
but
sense. Yeah.
really good show. I was gonna say though, but I love how movies though, Ninja, like Prey, where I mean, hey, I know, me and you, we both love the movies, right? We love the experience of movies and what it does. But Prey sent me on a, hey, I got to go find the next good movie, and
Hmm.
I like when movies do that, you know, where it'll make
You want
you
to keep
want
that
to,
good feeling going.
yeah, or even a good story. Like, dude, I
Hmm.
just want to see a fucking good story. I could care less if I know the actors or actresses or if
Sure.
I know the
Sure.
director, you know, or whatever it is. I just want to see, you know, a good story. And good thing I haven't came across anything that was so mind-numbingly dumb to where I was like, all right, I don't want to watch movies right now. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you get to that point of like, what the fuck am I watching, dude? I gotta,
Mhm.
you know, let me turn this trash off or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how that
Uh,
movie really set me off on a path of trying to find some good shit to watch.
mhm. Yeah. That's kind of. I think for me, that's why I kind of. Uh, I'm very like picky about what I start to watch. Um, like if a premise seems good, I'll start watching it usually. But if it's not something that grabs me right away in terms of like the premise or the storyline or like buzz or something like that, then I just kind of ignore it, right? Like so that's kind of why I'm not watching like a million shows right now. I know a lot of people watch a million different shows. They binge one show and then they binge the next show, and they take a weekend and they binge an entire like season of X, Y, and Z, and it's like I just for me sometimes I feel like watching TV even before we started doing the show it felt like homework,
Yeah,
and part of me just couldn't keep doing that anymore. So I basically was just like, well, this looks like a cool show. I'm watching it, and oh, I know it's only going to be 10 episodes. Okay, I'll give it a whirl, And most of the time,
yeah,
I'll usually do that and just watch it all the way through, and I'll be like, yeah, that's really good. I really liked it. It really grabbed me, and I watch it all the way through. Anime is usually where I tend to watch it and watch a few episodes and stop because there's so much anime out there that I'll just watch almost anything, but a lot of it is not great. So,
mm,
but yeah, same kind of thing. Like I don't want to uh, just I, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to watch anything that I wouldn't be entertained by, right?
right.
I don't mean good. It doesn't have to be good. I just need to be entertained. And there are some shows that are really, really good, but I don't want to watch it because I know I'm not going to be entertained by it.
Mm.
People are like, "Oh, dude, you should watch Breaking Bad." It's like, why would I want to watch Breaking Bad? Like
I
I
feel the same way
understand,
about that show.
I
Yeah,
I get it. People are like, "That's an amazing show, one of the best shows," and I'm like, "Okay, I get that, but I personally would not be entertained by it." Or The Sopranos. I get it. It's an amazing show. I understand this. I have zero interest in watching this show because I know I won't be entertained by it. I'll probably watch it and I'll probably be like, "Wow, that show really is amazing." But I'll be like the whole time just going through it and
I
just being like,
I think you're not a fan of mafia movies, though,
well,
correct?
First of all, I'm not a fan of mafia gangster type movies in general, right? Like
Yeah.
Untouchables is probably the one movie that I really really enjoy when it comes to like mafia genres. Um, but when it comes to like The Godfather or when it comes to like Scarface, I'm not that into it. It just doesn't appeal to me, right?
Mm.
But it's not even that. It's like there are shows out there that a lot of people are like, this is an amazing amazing show, like Game of Thrones. The first few seasons, people were talking about it all like this was one of those amazing shows that it was like genre breaking and yada yada yada. I stopped watching after, but before I even finished the first season. I wasn't necessarily bored. I just kind of stopped, and
Mm.
I just didn't have the interest to keep going. It was really weird. Um, so yeah, that's how I kind of watch shows. Like I don't necessarily watch shows that are good. I watch shows that are just entertaining, that I find entertaining.
Mm.
And if they're done well, then I'll enjoy it. They don't have to be, again, they don't have to be like, Academy Award winning. They don't have to be Emmy Award winning. They just need to be done in a way that I find entertaining enough to keep watching. And like I said, I'm a huge fan. I'm very basic when it comes to like stuff, like earlier when I said I'm the basic bitch when it comes to action movies, I really am. But there is a certain level of execution that I expect from a movie that I would enjoy, when it comes to like whatever genre we're talking about. So,
But you're not out here watching uh, concrete bad movies. You know what I mean? Or
no.
you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
I unless I'm hanging out with buddies and we just want to have a bad movie night, like every once in a while we'll do stuff like that. Me and some other friends will get together and we'll watch, like, on purpose, watch bad movies, and that's the point, right? And
Only certain friends you could do that with too, right?
right,
Like,
and even then we can be entertained by how shitty a movie is,
Yeah.
But if I'm by myself and it's like, man, I don't feel like watching a bad movie by myself. That's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pick movies that are just, or movies and TV shows that are just entertaining, and I can just sit here in the dark and watch my watch my TV by myself.
Mm-hmm. I did that recently with Mayans. I know I've talked about Sons of Anarchy here in the past, but
Sure.
wherever I left the series off at, like whatever I last watched it was probably like, say, season 1, episode 7 or 8, right? Ninja, I was like, fuck, how much more do I go? Do I got to go? So I looked, I had like, there was 4 seasons, right?
Yeah.
I immediately went to season 4 and just picked like episode 6, or episode 4 actually. So from 4 all the way to the end, while fast forwarding, you know what I mean? I got what I needed. Certain parts where I'm watching, and then certain parts it's like, all right, hold on, that has nothing, that has nothing to do with nothing I care about. So that has became also kind of a filthy habit. Also, I don't want to be fast forwarding, but there's sometimes shows where it's like, all right, I don't need to hear their plight or their struggle or their
what's cool
parts.
about, so what's cool about Netflix is that you can watch shows like on 1.5, 2 times speed now. So you can just speed through an episode, kind of like how they do on podcasts. How you can listen to a podcast on 2x speed.
Yeah.
Or like YouTube videos, you can watch in 2x speed. Same thing with like Netflix. If you're just like, oh, I got to power through 7 seasons of, Friends, it's like, oh, let me throw it on 2x speed, and I can get the. I don't know why you would want to power through 7 seasons
but
of Friends.
Isn't it weird how they cater to our bad habits like that?
Yeah.
Or did the bad habits develop because of the actual product also? Whoever gave us that 10-second, whoever invented the concept of
10-second,
of let me touch this part of the screen, and
I want to say that was YouTube that did that, because I remember on YouTube I would hit the arrow key and would like pop forward like a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say YouTube pioneered that feature, and everyone kind of had the 10. Like now I'm kind of pissed that we don't, like, not everything has a 10-second
exactly
skip. I'm also pissed. Okay, here's the thing.
That's weird.
Netflix also made me pissed at services that don't have the skip theme song.
Yes.
Right? Because I watch a lot of anime, and if I'm watching anime like on Hulu, there's no skip music, right? No skip theme. But if I'm watching anime on Netflix, I can skip theme song and go right to the show.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why does Hulu not have this? Why is there UI, their interface, so jank. I'm so pissed that I mean Hulu has some really cool shit on there. I just fucking hate that I cannot hit skip song, hit skip intro or whatever. And Disney Plus has it, and I'm like, yes, Disney Plus, you are amazing
You
to
sound
have
like
that.
we sound like elitist first world problem.
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah. Look, man, we're a pop culture show. Okay,
but
these
when
are
you break it down, right? All we're doing is just
hitting a
I
button,
don't want to hear this, dude. Like, hold on,
dude.
let me go to this part.
No, dude, I'm also super pissed. Like back in the day when what the hell was it? Oh, I remember. I remember, like back when I was working at Disney, right? We had to do like video ads, and we had to build our own video player. And you know how you have the slider to move videos
Yep.
forward and backwards, right? Um, someone brought up the fact that hey, you know what would be awesome is if when you're doing that, instead of having the whole thing, the whole screen flicker and fast forward and backwards, you should have the little buffer on the bottom, right above the little scrubbing
So you can
tool.
see
So
where you
you
want to
can,
go to.
but it's a little thumbnail, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, and at the time, no one had that except Pornhub. And when the guy brought it up, I was like,
Mm.
so one of the guys brought that up in the meeting. I looked at him and he's like, yeah, Pornhub. I'm like, because
You're like,
I knew
yeah.
Pornhub.
You're like, oh my god, that's genius. Huh? You're like, oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, I was talking to a UI artist, and he brought that up, and I was like, wait, isn't that like a Pornhub thing? Because I was like, at that time, no one else had that feature, and so he's like, yeah, it's a Pornhub thing.
And Ninja, I was
And
gonna say,
this wasn't a meeting. This was in a Disney meeting about a feature that we were gonna put into our game.
by the way, also to piggyback that, I don't go to sites that don't have that option. So if you don't have that option, I'm probably not gonna come back and jerk off on your site.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So,
the fact that like for the longest time when you did that, it would move the whole frame, right? But I like
yeah,
the little thumbnail that you can just kind of go
yes.
to it and just oh, okay, this is where I want to stop. The little thumbnail that pops up. If you don't
Well,
have that, it pisses me off.
I
It's
was
like,
gonna say
well,
Pornhub. I think Pornhub also is very thoughtful, right? And caters to you to where they tell you what parts they're doing what.
oh yeah.
So
On
you could
some videos, not all
on
videos,
some, yeah.
but some whoever like spent the time to like, hey, 3 minutes they're doing reverse cowgirl. In 5 minutes they're doing blowjob. In 6 minutes this is where
It's
the
amazing.
you could skip right to the anal part
Yeah,
of the
if you
video.
like.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And if
Yeah.
more
Chapters, basically chapters.
chapters, yes. And if
Yeah.
more video sites were like that, I know that be impossible to do to every
Yeah,
video.
yeah, because someone actually has to do it, right? Like I don't think there's an AI that would recognize, oh, they're doing a, double penetration here. Let me do the let me
Let
do a
me
time marker. I don't think there's a computer that can do that. I don't think there's an AI that can do that at this moment in time. In the year of our Lord 2022, I don't think an AI
yes.
right now can timestamp when when a girl's getting railed by three guys. Okay, I just don't think we have that technology yet. So someone has to do it, and if someone actually has to do it, there are millions of videos on these porn sites that so many people would have to do, or crowdsource it. But holy crap, dude!
But
Like
thank God for that window thingy, right? The scroll
the
scrub or
thumbnail,
whatever.
yeah.
That's
So the
so
scrolling
amazing.
thing, we call it a scrub. So you scrub through. You scrub through the video. And yeah, you have a little thumbnail on top of that, on top of the scrub. The scrub.
I thought Hulu has one. They don't have one,
They
or they don't have the 15. Oh no, you can't skip.
You can't skip the intro songs.
Got
Yeah,
you.
So most sites I think have the little scrubbing thing, and they definitely have the scrubbing thing, and most video sites I think have the little thumbnail thing. However they implement it, most video sites have that now. But the skip intro song, Hulu doesn't do that, and because I watch a lot of anime,
Mm.
they always start with an intro song, right? Like they always start with an intro song, and you can't skip it. So if I'm watching, like, if I'm 30 episodes deep, I have to like scrub through to the end of the song and then start the show. You know?
Mm.
like I'm watching One Piece and I'm 150 episodes in and I have to skip the song every single episode, and I'm just like, holy shit, dude. It is so frustrating. I
Yeah,
think
I probably.
Crunchyroll also doesn't have that either.
Oh wow! Oh, because they want to repetitively put that shit in your brain so you keep coming back,
I don't know.
right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they don't have it. I think they don't have it either, but I know for sure Hulu doesn't have it. Does not have it, and it's frustrating as hell. I
Mm.
don't watch as much anime on there, but when I do, it's so annoying.
Mm. Crazy. We got about 40 minutes left.
Yeah.
Ninja, did you want to touch on the Trump thing before
Yeah,
we get up out of here?
I do want to touch on it. I don't know who's in the audience who wants to listen to this, but yeah, big news this week is that Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was
Yes.
raided by the FBI. Okay, and for the longest time, we didn't know why, because Merrick Garland and the United States Department of Justice don't comment on investigations. It's like whatever, right? But obviously, because he's a former president, he's Donald Trump. He's a polarizing figure, probably one of the most polarizing figures in America. And the fact that when was the last time a president's house was raided? Well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, not raided. A search warrant was conducted, right? Um, it's big news. It's a huge news, and he was in court previous to that because there's a lawsuit going on. The New York State is suing Donald Trump's Trump organization, the charity organization, because of like fraud or some shit like that. So he was in New York at the time. That's where the whole "I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth" thing came up, was because he was being deposed up there, pleading the fifth, after saying that whoever pleads the fifth is guilty.
Guilty. Yeah.
Because he said that. Obviously, that's not true. You plead the fifth for a variety of reasons. You're not dodging innocence or guilt, right? You're not proving either one. You're just taking your right to plead the fifth to not incriminate yourself. Um, and whoever says that it automatically means that you're guilty, bullshit. They don't know what they're talking about. Anyways, so he has that going on. He has a lawsuit going on while this whole thing with the FBI is happening. So he was raided, and so here's some little tidbits that I found hilarious. Was that the FBI director is one of Trump's appointees. He basically carried out the search warrant. The warrant was signed by a federal judge who was also appointed um, by Donald Trump. Uh, the fact that he had documents, like classified documents and whatnot and stuff like that, originally not necessarily a felony, right? Originally, it was a misdemeanor, slap on the wrist kind of thing, 1 year maximum sentence. But in 2018, Donald Trump signed into law an amendment to that section to make it 5 years, thus
Mm-hmm.
changing it into a felony, right? So all of these things combined, you know, is the comedy of errors, and that's just the beginning, right? So, so that's just the first day. After that, all his stands came out of the woodwork defending him. Donald Trump coming out defending himself. basically talking. For the first talking point is, what about Hillary? What about Hunter? Already deflecting away from, well, look at these people, they're doing it. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. What aboutism? Yes, it sucks, especially if you deem that other people are getting away with it. But here's the thing. Let's talk about, what did you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you assuming that you're going to get away with it if someone else got away with it? You should be looking at it as, dude, you fucked up. His stand should also be looking at, you fucked up, right? Just because other people are getting away with it, that's on them in whatever situation that is. That is
Mm-hmm.
completely irrelevant to your situation, right? So there's all these like the whole magosphere is like, the magaverse basically is defending
Mm-hmm.
him without knowing anything about what's happening, right? Like, we just know that his house was searched because of classified documents, right? They carried out boxes and boxes of classified documents, right? And there's all this talk about how he can declassify documents because he's the president, but there's a process to doing that. Did he go through the process? Does he have to go through the process? Yada yada yada. There's all these things going on. There's all these talks going on. There's this speculation. He keeps talking about how the government should release the warrant, should unseal the warrant, right? But here's the thing: the entire time, Trump could do that himself, right? He gets a copy of the warrant. He gets a copy of the warrant and why they came into his house. He literally could have gave it to, the first day could have just said, "Hey, this is what's going on. Here's what's happening." But he didn't do that. He's calling on the FBI to do that, and it's like, what? Why are you doing that? So yeah, all these different defenses talking about how this is unprecedented. There was even the talking point of, if they could do it to Trump, imagine what they can do to you. And it's like, that is the dumbest talking point, because guess what? Cops and FBI can do that to you
And
now.
they've been.
They've been
They've
like,
been.
yeah, exactly. It's like, what is it? What are you trying to say? What are
Yeah.
you really trying to say here? You are really trying to say, hey, if you're a white person, guess what? They can do this to you. Like, we thought it was only for black and brown people, but no, they're gonna come
No.
for us white folk too.
Oh my
That's what
gosh.
you dumb motherfuckers, right? So yeah, they're saying these. So they're talking. They're all this shit culminates until, and it leads us to where we are today, right? The warrant was unsealed. You find out the statutes that they used to go into his house, the probable cause, right? The key one is probably 793, right? That's one of the statutes that that they went into his house for probable cause. That is under the Espionage Act. Okay.
Hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's selling information or anything like that. All it means is that he has illegal information, or he has highly classified information illegally. Okay. And if you look at the inventory, he has something called top secret SCI documents. Top secret SCI is, to the general public, is known as above top secret. Okay. There's no such thing as above top secret, but you can think of it as above top secret. So you have top secret, and then you have a little carve out in the top secret called SCI. SCI, I don't know how many different things are covered by SCI, but one of the things covered by SCI that's very common is nuclear type shit, right? Like we don't know what kind of nuclear stuff that he has, but he probably has some of those papers, right? Highly classified, to the point where he should not have them, because if it is about nukes, right? The thing about nukes is he cannot declassify those documents. Even as a president, he cannot declassify them. And even if he wanted to, he cannot unilaterally do it by himself. He has to get sign off from a whole bunch of other people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he has those documents with him. He has other top secret documents with him, okay, that are not SCI, but also top secret. So we're talking highest of the high. Okay. if he were to declassify any of these documents, okay, any classified document, to declassify them, they have to go through a process. Apparently, none of these documents were declassified in that process. He can't just say, I declassify them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
like Michael
Yeah.
Scott going, I declare bankruptcy
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the office.
Yep.
He cannot do that. That's not how you do that. When you declare bankruptcy, you go through a process, right? You don't just
Mm-hmm.
say, I declare bankruptcy. Same thing with I declare declassification. You still have to go through a process. You can't just say, I declare I declare declassification, and then these documents are magically declassified. That's not how this works. Um, the other thing about the statute 793, I believe, is that it doesn't matter if it's classified information or not. The or declassification. The way it's prosecuted is that he has information that he shouldn't have outside of the White House or whatever, outside of the chain of command or some shit like that. So um, because he has because he has these documents out there, it's already kind of a bad thing. And he keeps talking about how I've been cooperating and they could have asked for my stuff at any time. It's like, dude, it's documented that they subpoenaed you, months ago. They keep asking you for documents. They keep talking to you about it. They keep negotiating with you. You didn't do it. So basically you've pushed them to the point where, look, they need these papers back, right? We're talking, national security papers, right? We're talking top secret papers. And that's why we're here at this point in time, is because he didn't give them back. He could have just gave it back. I don't understand, unless there's a very compelling reason why he needed above top secret documents in his Mar-a-Lago home. There's no reason for him to have had them. He could have just gave it back, and none of this would have happened. Okay, I would be kind of surprised if they even went as far as prosecuting him. If he just gave these papers back, I don't know if it's really going to go anywhere, to be honest, right? Like, are you really going to prosecute the next president? I don't think they will, personally, because they haven't done so yet, right? Every single time people are like, we got him, folks, we got him. We don't got him. He hasn't been in jail, right? I don't think anything really is going to come out of it. The FBI, the government has the papers now. It's out of his hands. I don't know if they're actually going to prosecute him. I would be very unsurprised if he gets nothing from this.
I
But
wouldn't be
it's
surprised either. Yeah.
right. But it's funny that he's getting fucked over left and right by his own doing. The fact that all of this is happening because he's, I don't know, arrogant, dumb, reckless. I don't even know what it is.
Well, I
But
was just gonna say right now, for
just
somebody that's
himself.
supposedly very smart, is also very incompetent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, it's probably arrogance and all that, but I mean, like, dude, you're smart. I don't want to. How can I tell a person smarter than me to smarten up? It's just like that. That's super crazy. Like this isn't how you conduct yourself. Like this. I don't know. Yeah, it's
I
it's
mean, I
it's
don't know
super
if he's
crazy.
actually smarter than me. Like, he's really good at business, right? But just because you're really good at business doesn't mean you're good at anything else,
Right.
This motherfucker probably doesn't even know how to fucking turn on a computer. I mean, I get he knows how to tweet shit. That I get it. But do you think he can fucking take me in Street Fighter? I don't think so. So, so
Probably not.
like
Probably not. Huh.
just because he's really good at one thing doesn't mean he's good at all the kinds of other things. And in this instance, I don't know if he's actually really good at crime, to be honest. Like, I just think that people are letting him get away with it because he was president, But yeah, I don't think he's really good at crime. All this stuff is popping out, and it's like, why is any of this popping out? Like the really good people who, like the people who are really good at crime, we don't even know who they are. We don't know
Yeah,
their names.
true.
We don't know what they're doing, right? Like, who do you think is really, really good at crimes? You know, we don't. You probably wouldn't even think about it. But honestly, probably like an Elon Musk
Yeah,
or like a Bill Gates, like a CEO. They're probably really, really good at crime. Sure, they're white collar crime, but they're definitely doing shit to make sure that they're rich, right?
yeah,
Bezos,
yeah.
they're doing
Hmm.
something, but you don't really think about it. You don't really hear about it. Why do we keep hearing about Trump? It's because he sucks at what he does. He
Hmm.
announces that he's doing some shit all the time.
True.
So, so yeah, so right now, this is where we're at. All this stuff is out there. Everyone is basically everyone who's a Trump supporter is quiet because they're trying to figure out a new way to, what's the next talking point. The next talking point was apparently, you know, presidents can declassify things just by thinking about it. And if they thought about it and they don't tell anyone, is it actually declassified? And it's like, how is that even a talking point? There's an actual process that you have to go through, but this is the next talking point. These are the talking points that they come up with to basically talk about why this is a bad thing.
Hmm.
It's and why the FBI is terrible and needs to be defunded. And that's the other thing. These back the blue motherfuckers are now saying defund the FBI, demonizing the FBI. It's like, look, the FBI, I have no love for cops. Should we defund them? Sure. Yeah, don't give them as much money. They really should be
Hmm.
concentrating on very, very important stuff. I'm not saying abolish the FBI. I'm not saying abolish police officers, because there needs to be something along those lines to
Yeah.
enforce laws, right? I get
Hmm.
that. But the fact that San Jose, where we live, San Jose, the budget for SJPD is $400 million. Okay, it is by far the biggest chunk of the budget from like 2020 or 2021. I was looking it up the other day because I was curious. Like, after Uvalde, when you found out that 40% of their city's budget goes to the Uvalde police or whatever, it's like, I wonder how much money does
Mm.
SJPD get, right? They get $400 million
That's super
per
crazy.
year, which is like the next highest thing is $200 million, and that's the SJFD, the fire department.
Mm.
Okay, those are the two highest paid things in San Jose City. Okay, everything else is below them, like parks and education and whatever the fuck, roads, I don't know, public utilities, whatever the fuck you want. They're all in like the tens of millions. These are like the only things that are in the hundreds of millions. And even the police budget is double the fire department. So
That's
yes, we
crazy.
should we should
Wow.
definitely defund these departments. Do they really need this much money? Probably not. you know um, but yeah, they're saying defund the FBI now. They're saying the FBI is like a twisted version of what they are. Why? Because they're investigating you now, right? Like, they were okay with the FBI when they're investigating black and brown people and non-white people. They were okay with that because they
Yeah.
were the ones who did crime. But now that they're investigating one of their own, they can't handle it. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to fucking impeach Merrick Garland for what?
Doing her job.
Dude,
Yeah.
like
Crazy.
again, I don't really give a shit about these people, but the fact that you are now turning on these people because they have the gall to investigate one of our own. It's like, dude, are you serious? If you did a crime, I thought you were all about, if you did the crime, you better be ready to do the time. I thought you guys
Hmm.
were all pro law and order. I thought that's what you guys were all about. Why are you guys all of a sudden going, oh, defund the FBI? It's like, whoa, where is this coming from? You know, really think about that. You think it's really a political thing? Why the fuck would they do this as a political thing? Why would I mean? Okay, I understand that you think that Biden is doing this out of revenge. Is because you would do this out of revenge, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene would do this out of revenge. Donald Trump would do this out of revenge. He's talked about it before. He would, if you wronged me, I will use the full power of the government to go after you, right? It's because you're projecting. That's why you think Biden is doing this to you. It's like, no, all Donald Trump had to do was give some shit back. That's it. Just give it back. What the fuck is wrong with you? Give it back. But you did this to yourself.
Yourself, yeah, brought it upon.
You bring up Hillary's emails, motherfucker. You had 4 years to put her in jail. Would I be fine with her going to jail? Fuck yes. Send her to jail. Hunter Biden, send him to jail. I don't give a shit about these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you keep talking about, what about these guys? What about them?
He did have the time to put some people in jail. Yeah, exactly. He did.
4 years. He had 4 years. You appointed the director of the FBI. How did you not fucking have the clout to go, hey, Chris Wray, you want to go fucking throw Hillary Clinton in jail? Can you do that for me? I gave you this job. What the fuck were you doing, Trump, for 4 years that you couldn't fucking put Hillary Clinton behind bars? You keep saying lock her up for 4 years and you did nothing about it. So what the fuck?
He did have that time.
Right? Exactly.
He was such a G. He was such a G.
Exactly. He's not a top G. You think he's the top G? He's not a top G. So this motherfucker had all this time, and now they're bringing it back up. He's talking about Obama having 33 million pieces of documents, classified documents, and he's not in jail. It's like, bro, those 33, the National Archives even had to come out and say, yo, so these 33 million documents that you're referring to is, we control it. It's under the control of the National Archives. Obama doesn't just have it in his house, right? The 33 million documents is under the control of the National Archives, and they signed a contract, they signed a letter of intent or whatever the fuck, a memo of understanding, I think is what it's called. They went through a process. These 33 million pieces of document that Obama has, they went through a process. Trump did not go through a process. He thought he could just say, I declare declassification and be done with it.
I declare bankruptcy. Right? That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And just like, what was it, today or yesterday? We saw the very first victim of this new fucking civil war in Cincinnati. I don't know if anyone out there has seen it. There's a dude who tried to fucking take out the FBI. He drove up to the FBI field office in Cincinnati and tried to shoot through the windows or some shit, not realizing that they have bulletproof glass. And he goes, oh shit, I fucked up. I can't shoot through bulletproof glass. So he runs, they chase, I think for like 6 hours, they chase him, ended up with him getting shot and killed. All right. So think about that for a second. This motherfucker listened to Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, whatever the fuck he wants to listen to. He listens to Donald Trump. He was on Truth Social, I think, during the chase, tweeting the fact that if you don't hear from me in a little bit, they probably got me. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So this motherfucker bought in so fucking hard. He gave his life for Donald Trump. And for what? The fact that he fucking probably committed some crimes? For a guy who doesn't even give a shit about who you are?
Yep. That's crazy.
That's the thing. You gave your life for a dude who doesn't even know your fucking name. And you thought you were going to go fucking murk the FBI? Are you fucking shitting me? Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like the FBI will fucking waste you, right?
People's brains. or
Yeah,
even the type of behavior, like I don't know. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
who's to say that if I had the power to speak and an idiot will follow me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and
Mhm.
do thy bidding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could probably see how that is how you would want that. You
Yeah.
know
It's
what I
very
mean?
appealing for some people. Sure. That kind of absolute power. Yeah.
It's also very sad, Waldo. You
Hmm.
know, it's unfortunate that yeah, you know, I mean, if you want to look at it for he could have been a father. What was somebody's son? All that stuff, right? All you know,
Apparently this dude's 42 years old. Think about that for a second.
that's
He's our
crazy.
age. He's
That's
our age, and he's
crazy.
that fucked in the head.
Well, I will say this: people that are our age that happen to maybe be watching this, or they are our friends, or whatever that is.
Hmm.
Like, you're probably not on my feeds no more. You know what I'm saying? You're probably, not with whatever I'm with. You know what I'm saying? So it's it it is scary though when I do see people our age, or maybe people not only our age but people we know
Hmm.
that have the
Sure.
same kind of thinking or rhetoric or whatever else it is. It's like, dude, how the hell? Why couldn't you be like this when we were younger? So I didn't have to fucking, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
waste my time. You know what I
Spend my
mean?
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy though. How many times have we said this on the show though? It's crazy the times that we live in,
Hmm.
and and just the temperature of the world. You know, it's at an all time like
Yeah.
Martin Luther would be rolling in his grave if he
Yeah.
were to
We're
see
in a
some of
very
the
weird
shit.
spot right now. Yeah.
You know what I mean? To see fucking how far we've came and also how far we've slipped.
Hmm.
You know how far we've allowed shit to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Hey, this is a Hub 408 episode 155. I was gonna say we passed our 2 hour mark, Waldo. I was gonna say
Yeah.
let's give these guys some recos and let's head on home.
Yeah. Let's get out
Any
of here.
yeah, any recos for this week actually?
Sandman. I just finished it this week, and honestly, I really really liked it. It basically covers the first two story arcs or the first two trade paperbacks of the storyline. Um, so it's and it's actually a really good adaptation. Like obviously they did some stuff here and there, certain details are different, but it follows the storyline fairly well. It follows along I like to the point where I recognized a lot of the stuff that's going. I mean I mentioned it last week as well,
Mm,
but because I know the story pretty well, like it's one of my favorite titles of comic book titles of all time. I'm very familiar with a lot of this stuff, and um, yeah, it's a really good adaptation. The only problem, I guess, you could say about it, well, maybe not the only problem, but the biggest thing is that it's actually not weird enough.
mm,
Um, but that's kind of how the book begins, right? The first and second story arcs are not too weird. It doesn't get weirder until later, and well, it doesn't get weirder until the second story arc. Really, like it gets super weird and super like, what the fuck am I reading, right? Um, but either way, I really really liked it, and and if you're really interested in like a dark fantasy kind of story, uh, I would recommend this as well. It's such a Sandman encompasses such a huge like range of themes, and basically what is it about, and it's so hard to summarize that I can't really put it into words what it's about. But I guess so. Neil Gaiman basically said the theme of Sandman is change or die, And yeah, that's
Mm.
I mean that's the closest thing that I can really, yeah, and I agree with that, because kind of what happens to him throughout the story is that he is who he is, and he can't change who he is, and because of that he has to suffer consequences as he goes through his life, I guess you could say. And it really speaks to like, basically human, the human condition, I guess you could say, what humanity really is all about. And it's all about adapting and changing, and constantly make yourself a better version of yourself, and Sandman is kind of about that. It just goes about it in such a way where you're kind of like, it obfuscates all of that. It feels like you're reading a story about a beautiful and horrifying dream, but in the end, it's really just about trying to become a better version of yourself. Um, Obviously, this 10 episodes doesn't get into that all that deep, but hopefully they get more seasons and they get to finish the entire storyline, and you can see that that's what it's about at the end of the day. So yeah, Sandman on Netflix is one recommendation. My next recommendation is Lightyear on Disney Plus. I actually just watched it last night, and honestly, fun movie. It's just a fun movie. There's nothing. It's a Pixar movie, but it doesn't have that. It's not necessarily like any of their other movies. It's not super emotional. It's basically, I mean, in the beginning they'll tell you what this movie is about, but basically the synopsis is, Andy got a toy from his favorite movie. This is that movie. I mean, it's that simple. A lot of people, when they first heard about this movie, were super confused, but but that's really what it is. It's Andy's favorite movie, and he got a toy from that movie. So it's just a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. Uh, it's Chris Evans being Buzz Lightyear, but you kind of forget that it's you. I kind of forgot who it was. I just enjoyed it for what it was. It's pretty funny. There's some good action. It's definitely a children's movie. It's a little cheesy at times. It's just a good watch, good light, um, fun watch. When you find out who the bad guy is, it's like, oh wow, that's a that's a nice little twist that you could probably see coming, but especially if you watch the original Toy Story. Well, I don't want to say they. It's a little bit of an Easter egg who the bad guy is, but it's fun. So I recommend that. It's just a fun movie, just to throw on and just relax to, and just chill to. Just something light. So yeah, Disney plus Disney's Lightyear, Pixar's Lightyear is my other recommendation. Um, what else? I mean, really, Sandman, either the Netflix TV show or the book. If you can get your hands on the book, read the book. It's amazing.
Get
Yes,
the
that's it.
book.
Yep, that's it.
All
That's
right.
it for me.
I was gonna say my only recommendation, or I had kind of talked about earlier, but go watch The Bear. I believe that's on Hulu, right? Is that on
Yeah,
Hulu?
correct.
If you guys love food, which you guys do, if you guys, want to see somebody go through a lot of human emotions while also working foods, also to see a cool cast, usually um, movies or shows having to do with food, usually an ensemble. You know what I mean? So you get to see certain folks here. You get to see certain people want to rise up and all that stuff, and just find who they are. So check out The Bear. That's really really good. And tomorrow, I think either on Kumu, you might be able to watch it here. I'm not sure, but if you happen to be in San Francisco, we have Pistahan Festival tomorrow, one of the longest running fiestas for Filipino culture. It's going to be happening tomorrow. I'm actually in a panel with one of our friends from the hub, or not from the hub, a fan of the hub. You know what I mean? Ruby Ibarra. She's going to be hosting a panel talking about innovation through entertainment. So I'm going to be talking about my journey here on Kumu and all that stuff, but also sharing a whole bunch of other anecdotes when it comes to being in this music game for such a long time. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Where is it going to be at? In San Francisco?
Where's it going to be at in San Francisco? Hi guys, ¿cómo está?
Where and what time?
Yes, it's going to be at the ba, 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 at Yerba Buena Gardens
Hmm.
on 750 Howard Street in San Francisco. So that's 750 Howard Street in San Francisco. It's going to be an all-day event. That's actually Saturday and Sunday. I will be there actually both days. I'll be in a panel for tomorrow, so they might be showing it here on Kumu. But I believe one of our good friends here on the Lead X, our fellow Kumare, Liana and Samo. She's going to be running one of the panels. I believe it's innovation through technology, and how people have become their own entrepreneurs and all that stuff. So she's going to be in a panel that's going to be on Sunday. So again, Pistahan Festival, 750 Howard Street in San Francisco. Any other items before we get up out of here, Ninja?
Nah, man, we're good. Get the fuck out of here.
Shit. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm about to. I'm probably gonna watch Sandman while I do the laundry. You know what I mean? Straighten up a little bit before I go to bed. So that's what I got going on for the rest of my weekend, unless I see you guys
Yeah.
tomorrow. And I was gonna say, Ninja, thank you so much for doing the episode. I appreciate you. All right, and we are out of here. Episode 156 next weekend. We will see you guys. Take care.